Welcome back to the Forum Book Club. This will be our last session on Night of the Holy Ghost, uh, the a short history of G.K. Chesterton by Dale Ahlquist. We've got Dale with us here. This is Father Fester at Ignatius Press with Vivian Dudrow. And from South Carolina, we have Joseph Pierce. So we've read the book, 3 chapters of unequal length. The last chapter was probably the shortest of the 3. Chesterton the Saint. We talk about the man, the writer, the saint. What else is there to talk about?
Well, we could talk about the reason why.
I just thought it would be fun. So I just thought it'd be fun because I know that all 4 of us are fans of GKC. They're tethered by the book. Not that the book's not worth being tethered to, Dale, but to be able just to have a broad discussion about what it is about Chesterton they particularly like, and maybe we can begin by going around each of us, with the 30-second version of what is it about Chesterton that's really attracted us or attracts us.
Who
take it from there.
You want to go first, Joseph?
Sure. Well, as I said, that for me, Chesterton is the most important person in my own, and in that sense, I have a great sense of gratitude to him. And I think for me, the word gratitude is something which sums up what encapsulates him and what he, if you like, spreads to everybody else. And it reminds me, we've discussed this, I think, of Thomas Aquinas, and Thomas Aquinas, the mode of perception that you begin with humility. The fruit of humility is gratitude, and it's gratitude that wonder. That in reading Chesterton, I found his sense of gratitude, which is a consequence of his humility, so infectious that through his gratitude, my own eyes were open to wonder. And when I started to perceive reality, everything changed. So that's why for me, he turned me on my head and turned me upside down and made me see the first time as they truly are. So that's why Chesterton is so important to me. At least one of the main reasons he's so important to me.
Well, I had that same reaction from the time I began reading him, but in a particular way, Joseph, it was that he allows you to see almost for the first time the ordinary things. It's a piece of cheese, it's a cloud in the sky, it's a tree growing, the fact that grass is green. I mean, so it's not like he's looking at something complex or, like a computer program or a big machine, but he sees the beauty, the glory in the smallest things. And unless you see them with fresh eyes. So, and then there's what I call the incarnational aspect, that with him, the word becomes flesh. That is, he's describing things, but it's not in some analytic way, or a scientific way. It's a poetic way where the alliteration, and there's, this is maybe going too far, I would say, there's no paradox in Chesterton, which is mere paradox. Mm-hmm. Is revealing something which you otherwise would miss. Yeah. Rereading him just kind of cleanses my mind from all the other reading I do, which is so banal, or even when it's good and clear, it doesn't have the attractive power that Chesterton has. I mean, you read him and you just want to read more.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's let Dale for last. Vivian?
Both of these things that you're saying, I have to agree with, that I've experienced those as well. For me, Chesterton gave me back permission to live in that world of wonder. I mean, a lot of us start out as children naturally full of wonder and just taking the world as it comes and being delighted by it. And then as we get older and we become sinners and jaded and beaten down by a modern education and modern philosophy. You're almost beaten into submission, right? And giving up this capacity. And when I first read Orthodoxy, I was on my way to, I had just become a Christian, and I found Chesterton's Orthodoxy on the same shelf with C.S. Lewis books in a Christian Protestant owned bookstore. And I just like took the whole shelf and bought the whole thing and took them home. And when I read Chesterton, it was like this, what? You mean I can be a child again? I can reclaim this capacity for wonder again? It's okay. I mean, this guy's a really smart guy and he says it's okay, and he just like with a rapier, he's just slashing through all this sort of modern crud that just built up, on top of me. He just slashed it to bits. And it was just this freeing experience that I too owe him a debt of thanks.
And let me add one thing to that. I was listening to there, especially with Everlasting Man. To me, he was able to have one paragraph on Buddha, and one on Muhammad, and one on Aristotle, and he always hit the essence. It was like he found two
Yes.
sentences which kind of
Yeah.
encapsulated the whole thought.
Right.
People, it's just amazing his ability to kind of grasp the whole and make it present in a small part.
Yes.
It was a real gift.
Well,
Hey, Dale, we've left you to last so you could think about what you wanted to say.
Same.
yeah, I was just vigorously agreeing with everything that the three of you said. All of those reflected my own experience. I guess I want to add, while completely affirming everything you said, that I've had the great privilege of really immersing myself in G.K. Chesterton for the last 38 years. It was at first it was just a mere pursuit. Then it became a passion, but then it became, my entire life. It's my vocation, as it were. And the fact is, I cannot get enough Chesterton. I still cannot get enough Chesterton. But he has become truly a presence in my life. He's my friend, and he's just always with me. I want to know what he has to say about whatever the topic is, because I know he's going to shed light on it. And so he's just been a great companion. And it started with the way he wowed me when I was introduced to him, and it's become just a very comfortable relationship since then.
We've been studying this book by you, Dale, on Chesterton. You spent 38 years with Chesterton. No one's going to spend 38 years with Vivian or me or Joseph or you, right? There's just not enough there.
Right.
There is with Chesterton. So what we have to do is make sure that if you've enjoyed this book, you've enjoyed these discussions, that you put Chesterton on your reading list. And if you find something you don't like, go to something else. There's plenty there. But read Chesterton. I mean, if he's not canonized yet, he certainly is a man whose thoughts are wholly uplifting, both HOLY and WHOLL.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's an immense portal on other things. You read him, you want to read Stevenson, you want to read Dickens, you want to read
Right.
other authors, because he has opened them up for you. So I mean, please make some room in your life for G.K. Chesterton. You will not be sorry you did that.
Oh, yeah. He never
Could
disappointed.
I Father? What I thought I might do as well, if you don't mind, is have another round table here where we go around. The other thing that would interest me to hear what you three would respond to this, having talked about what Chesterton means to us. What is our favorite book by Chesterton?
Ah,
Can we go around perhaps and ask that?
Oh,
I'll
painful.
go first since that's on the tip of my tongue.
Hooray! Hooray!
My favorite book is The Everlasting Man. I've read that now several times, and every time I do, I'm just so moved by it. And it's for those who haven't read it, it's kind of a thumbnail of the history of mankind to start with, and then showing the incarnation, Christ entering human history and entering human experience and changing everything as a result for the better, turning everything upside down and redeeming and saving. And it's so beautifully done. You talk about the essence of things, how he can condense the entire history of mankind in one
Yes.
section of the book, and then all of salvation in another section of the book, and do so in such a winning way where you don't feel burdened by lots of facts or dates. In fact, I think, Dale, you pointed out there's not a single date in the book. Is that right?
Yeah, history of the world, no dates in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's astonishing how he can do that, but it's a beautiful book. It's beautifully written.
And I would say, because I taught that book every year for many, many years, and the first time I read it, I knew there was something there, but I found it kind of rambling, and there was a lot of parts I didn't understand, and then jewels I would kind of laugh at or feel like an interest was there. And then I just kept reading it year after year. I would see more and more until finally I said, this book is the one of the most carefully organized books that's ever been written. I mean, chapter by chapter by chapter, it follows a very clear ductus or path.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a classic. Maybe a minor classic, but it's a classic. It's a masterpiece.
Yep.
It's an outline.
And you know what? You know what C.S. Lewis said, Father. You know what C.S. Lewis said about the in his book *Surprised by Joy*. He said that having read *The Everlasting Man* by Chesterton, I saw the Christian outline of history laid out before him in a way that made sense. And he actually names that as a major milestone on his journey to conversion.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'd go along with Vivian. I think that's my favorite. I mean, orthodoxy is kind of fun to read every so often because that's really poignant to the point. Some of the poems, the donkey or to the babe unborn. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't admit I was starting to cry. It's
Yeah.
a full life poem.
Yep.
Joseph and Dale, what are your favorites?
Well, I should probably go first because we are going last, as he's the first as regards Chesterton. Therefore, he should be the last to go. I would taking ranks, and Dal could probably guess what I'm going to say, but my favorite book of Chesterton's is probably *The Man Who Was Thursday*. I'm a great champion of fiction, his novels in particular. I mean, they're ramshackle. There are issues in terms of form and structure, but it's just like taking a roll of genius. And *The Man Who Was Thursday* in particular, like you, Father, with *The Everlasting Man*, I've taught that for many years to undergraduates, and every time it just leads me further and deeper in, further up and further in, as C.S. Lewis would say. And it's just a glorious engagement. I also love the book. As I say, that's my favorite, but tonight at least I'm saying *The Man Who Was Thursday* is my favorite.
Well, I teach both Everlasting Man and Orthodoxy every year, and so I more deeply love those books every year as well. I just they're bottomless wells. There's always more to be gleaned from them, and they always thrill me. And Father, I had the same experience that you did. The first time I read the book, I probably grasped a tenth of it if I was lucky. But I did. The one thing I did know is I said I didn't understand all this, but I want more of it. I want more of it. And that just that began the lifelong journey. That was the first Chesterton book I read, was *The Everlasting Man*. And Thursday is another one that every time I reread it, I enjoy it more and more. But I will depart from the consensus here. Because I like Chesterton's essay writing the best. I start every day by reading an essay of Chesterton's. Any book of essays is what I'm going to choose over it. I think that one of the books of essays that I probably enjoyed the most was a collection of his daily news essays called *Lunacy in Letters*. And but you could pick up *All Things Considered* or *Tremendous Trifles*, or even the one that we put together, Joseph, the *In Defense of Sanity*. I just love the essays. They're like generous helpings, but you can just have one little snack at a time, and that's what they always shed light on whatever it is, whatever topic he's writing about. But he always connects whatever.
I do think also we should consider in a future book club of sanity for those people who don't know that Dale and I and Aidan Mackey, who's a Chesterton expert from England, compiled what we thought were the best of Chesterton's essays into one volume, and it was published by Ignatius Press not that many years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, something like that. I think
Yeah.
that would make a good book to actually focus on in the form of book club.
Yep.
And were we to do that, Dale, I hope we can get us your favorite of Chesterton's genres.
Yeah, and it was
Where's-
that book. We put that book together at Father Fessio's suggestion. He was the one who said, "Let's do it. Let's do this," and that's what happened.
Well, hope I get some credit for that somewhere. So let's do that, Joseph. And you and I kind of run this thing. Of course, obviously, Vivian is the eminence grise behind it all. But let's intersperse in these book club discussions. We'll put Everlasting Man in there, Man Was Thirsty, Orthodoxy, and maybe a book of essays.
Yeah, I think we should certainly, if we're going to do 12 books a year, I see no reason we shouldn't have an annual Chesterton anyway.
Here,
Very
here.
good. Okay.
Okay.
That is good. And then next week, we will begin discussing salvation, what every Catholic should know about salvation with Michael Patrick Barber. We talked about this last week, and we will bring it in for next week. So thank you, Dale, for joining us. It's been great. And Joseph, Vivian, I'll see you next week. God bless you all.
A great
Yes,
blessing.
indeed. God bless. Bye.